So firstly, I think just a massive thank you for coming on the show. I think I've messaged you a few times since I've seen the film, and I genuinely think it's absolutely incredible. I think it's an underrated gem, is the best way to describe it.
Thank you. Well, maybe one day in years to come, everyone will go, "Oh my God, it was awesome," and then we all make our millions. Hey, maybe that's what happens.
Yeah, I feel like it's like almost my job to sort of like tell people about it because I like promoting smaller independent films. So I think doing these chats, I think, is probably at least spreading the word to people on the course who can then pass it on further. So now it's
So
4th
thank you
March. Yeah,
then.
well, yeah, to do my best as a promotional marketing campaign,
Thank
you
you.
could
Yeah,
say.
you've got the job.
But nah, it that performance-wise, I thought your performance was genuinely astonishing in this because I think it's sustaining such momentum. I think when you're on your own without anyone performing against you, because obviously you're hearing the voices, but it's just you on screen, so always looking at you. I think it's tremendous. So massive congrats,
Thank you. It was a bit scary.
genuinely. I want to get to know more about you to begin with. So
Okay.
this might seem a very long question, but what essentially was your background for getting into acting in the first place?
Gosh, yeah, you're right. Okay. I'll try my best to keep it as brief as humanly
Mm,
possible because no one needs to hear some actor bang on about their life story forever. But so the biggest thing that I like to promote about my own personal like acting journey so far is that I didn't train as an actor conventionally. So I didn't go to university like you could self. I didn't go to drama school. I tried to when I was 17. And I did quite enjoy that experience, but I wouldn't have been ready. Like now I know 12 years later that I wouldn't have been ready for that journey. And that would have been quite an intense environment for me. I was absolutely not ready for that. So I think how I got to where I've got to so far was definitely right for me. I just didn't know it at the time. So obviously when you're 17 and you're not getting into the drama schools you want to get into, it's really challenging and devastating. But yeah, in hindsight, I think it was the best thing. So yeah, they kept saying like, "You're too young, come back. Thanks very much. Come back in a couple of years." And I was like, I kind of just want to do it now though.
mm,
So I born and bred rural Devon. So tiny village life. Uh, no one's an actor. So I had just Googled it. So I was working in a pub at 18 and I Googled how to be an actor. And somehow I stumbled across at the time it was Star Now and Casting Call Pro. And I think Casting Call Pro is now called Mandy. And yeah, various websites basically that you could pay to go on to be a casting website and you could apply for jobs and stuff. And yeah, I took a photo with my phone. That was my headshot and started like just relentlessly applying for jobs. And I think if I'd have known how hard the industry is, then I don't know if I would have had the sort of like goals that I had at that point. But I had decided at 25 I was going to be earning a living off acting, which even now is like is sometimes impossible. But yeah, that's what I was doing. I decided. So I was really blinkered and yeah, so I just applied and applied, and I very quickly realized that that isn't the case. And who would employ me? I've got no professional credits, got no training. Like I'm such a massive
mm.
risk, um, realistically to an employer. So yeah, then I think it was about 9 months later, I got an audition for a profit share production of The Tempest in a conference center, and I was so happy about that. So I did that. And weirdly, an agent, there was no agencies down in Devon at the time, but an agent was just starting up for Southwest Talent. And I emailed her and said, "Hi, I exist and you've seen me act now, and I'd like to be an actor, please. Will you take me on, please?" And she said yes. um, and I was with her for a really long time. It doesn't exist anymore, but Susanna Patrick, thank you very much. I think that was maybe 4 or 5 years I was with her. And she got me in some really exciting rooms. And for such an up and coming agency, we just happened to find each other at the right time. We sort of grew together,
Mm.
which was really nice. But she got me my first film job like a couple of months later, which was crazy, which was for independent movie called Dartmoor Killing. We can all imagine what happens in that film. With lovely Peter, and like that was an amazing experience because when I got on set, I just went, oh right. Oh, this is where I want to live forever. This is just amazing. Like it, just seeing everyone doing their job, like the cogs in the machine of this great thing that we're going to create together. There's like 40 people around this camera, was just phenomenal. And I'd never performed on film before, so I was playing the younger version of the lead in some flashbacks, and I watched the lead and the rest of the cast do their thing for the whole day beforehand. And I just took note, like how small it was, how nuanced it was, what was different, what the director said, what it meant, and just sort of watched it happen and then went for it. Loved it. And then quite quickly after that, we had years and years, of course, of no work for a really, really long time being a waitress. And then suddenly you get like a big job where you're away for 3 months and you're touring around the place, and then you've got nothing again for a year, and just getting used to that fluctuation. But yeah, by the time I was 25, I made my West End debut. I turned 25 in the Mousetrap, and I was making a living 100% of being an actor that year, at least. And so I did do it. And then we obviously had a quarter life crisis because COVID happened. And then we went, what do we do next? Because we've done the goal, and now I don't know what my next goal is. So, it's peaks and troughs. But yeah, that's my background. And it's just been a case of banging on doors and being a nice human being and going, I promise, I think I'm okay at this. And just literally clambering up that ladder. And I still believe I'm on the first couple of rungs. I think there's so many more to go, and you don't stop learning. So yeah, that's my really long-winded answer to your question. You can edit that however you want.
It's all good. I think it's very awe-inspiring because I think what we're learning a lot about at the moment is sort of the approach that you had, that you've got to just message people and be polite. I think the best way I found is just to pay an independent filmmaker a compliment, just
Yeah.
how I did say, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the line, like I did similar, because I feel like it's just you're supporting the industry ultimately, and you're just being a nice person. You sort of
Yeah.
want that side to come off. I did want to ask about the West End debut because I did read that last. That was quite, it must have been quite an incredible uh breakthrough, I would say, for yourself. Talk about getting cast as Miss Casswell because yeah, that's
Uh,
quite a good credit.
yeah, I mean, I did again, it was really weird. I did this profit share, but like Agatha Christie years previous, down in Devon again. And I remember doing it going, oh, this is great, but I really want to do another Agatha, and I want to do a bigger one. And at the time, Bill Kenwright's company did a touring company called, I think it used to be the Agatha Christie company. I might be wrong. Agatha Christie company. So they do one every year and tour around the country, professional theatre. And then I think it then turned into the classic thriller company because they think they ran out of Agathas, and then they started doing like Hitchcocks and other cool things. But basically, I had my head set on, I want to do another Agatha Christie, and I want to do a professional one, and I want to tour or whatever. And then to get the call from my agent to say, oh, they've got auditions for the Mousetrap if you're interested. I remember being like, yeah. So that was wild because you audition in the theatre bar, which is
All
Rogue.
right.
Yeah. So you get to see the space, like the foyer and where you'd be. So you go to St. Martin's Theatre where it's been forever, and you go in and you're like, wow, I could be walking up this theatre every day if I get this job. And it was a really gorgeous audition, really relaxed. And you wait downstairs, you get sent upstairs, and it literally was director, artistic director, and producer. 3 people just sat in the bar, and then you did your scenes that you prepped for. I went and watched the tour in prep because I wanted to get the character as right as I could.
Yeah.
I knew the lines inside out. And then I did the audition, and at the time they said, oh, do you live in London? I said, I can do. That was my answer because I was like, I will move if I get this job. So I did that, and I expected in most situations, then I have to go through recalls and chemistry reads, and it's a quite long process. But I was driving. I used to work at Alton Towers as a singer in the hotels for a couple of years, and I was driving to work And it was maybe about 4 days later, and I was in the car park ready to go in, and I got a call from my agent. I thought that's either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he called me and said, "Is this Miss Casewell of Monkswell Manor Guest House?" And I went, "You better not be joking." And yeah, just sort of screamed in the car park for a while. And he's like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "Obviously."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had to not tell anyone for a month and a half. I was allowed to tell my like parents and my partner and stuff, but no one else. So yeah, I just had to keep it a secret for a couple of months. And then in September 2019, I was in the rehearsal, and yeah, it was sort of, it's what you dream of and what I dreamed of at 18 and everything I'd wanted. So I, for a very long time, I couldn't quite believe I was there. And you do get imposter syndrome quite a lot, especially when I'm stood next to someone who's just, you know, trained at, I don't know, GSA or RADA or something. You're like,
Mm.
I snuck in. I hope they don't notice. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing to do 6 months of a play that's so famous, period play. The character of Miss Casewell, she's really aloof. She's really rude. She's the only one that swears. Like, she's a really, really cool character. So yeah, it was really, really special. And I didn't take it for granted the entire time I was there. So yeah, it was great.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, amazing. So I'll be honest, I've never seen the Mousetrap myself, but I kind of now want to. I think it is playing at the Lowry, so genuinely we'll probably try and go out and see it.
Yeah, it goes. It's so charming because it's 1952. You know, it's of that era. It's a fun whodunit. Um, yeah, it's just a lovely. It's a lovely show to say you've been a part of as well, because you're part of that legacy now forever. You know, like we've.
Yeah,
It's what years? I think it's, is it in year 71 now? Or it might be 70 still until October. I want to say its birthday's in October. I should know that. I think it's on its 70th anniversary tour.
yeah. I
Or
feel
it
like it's one of the longest running shows, I think, in West End period, I think.
longest running show in the world.
Ah, okay. That's a true credit for life, I think. You part of
Yeah.
history, I think. That's a good real good thing. I'm very curious to know, because obviously with that theatrical background and obviously working in film, do you find the dynamic of like a reaction to your performance changes? Because obviously when you're doing it live, for example, you get in obviously the round of applause from an audience in that moment, you know what they essentially think. Whereas with film, you're kind of waiting to hear what the public response is. Do you find that dynamic differs, or can you adjust to either of them?
I quite like that difference. I actually think I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here from any stage work in the future, but I actually think I'm more confident on screen, which is quite rare. I've got a lot of friends who are actors that say they find stage more comfortable, because you get that direct and you get that feeling of different energies. Every audience is really different. And if, you know, I don't know, you don't have the best show, you'll have another one tomorrow, you know, it's kind of, but what I love about film is that I am merely just a little pawn in a way bigger picture. And I find I love cinematography. I've learned to be a photographer, so I'm obsessed with cinematography, and I love just watching amazing DOPs and gaffers and everyone doing their job. And I think as well you have to just let go, because you can make or break my performance in the edit. You can make or break my performance if I'm directed in a certain way, like how I'm shot. Like there's so many things that are out of your control as an actor, and you're in it for the smallest amount of time. Like you're not there for pre-production, you're not there for post. So I have just this immense appreciation for everyone else that makes a film that, yeah, you've kind of just got to let go. And so all I can do is go in and do the best I can do with whatever material I'm directed to do, and then just hope it comes out how I imagine it to. But what's great is that you don't know what it's going to be like. You can guess when you're there on set, but um it's a nice surprise. But yeah, you do hope, especially when it's just you for the whole thing,
Mm.
that it's okay. But yeah, I mean, I love them both. I really like being on set. Like I really, there's some amazing energy. And then sometimes you stand there and you go, this is my job, right? This is
Yeah.
that's wild. So yeah, I'd love to just keep doing more and more film. Yeah, I always find, and it's more sacred, I think, because I've done over my career more theatre than I have screen. I think it still feels even more sort of sacred because it's rarer that I get to do it.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. And I can almost imagine, especially with something like On the Line, which we'll get onto, that
yeah.
when you received the script, I presume you must have thought this is a gift for any actress, to be honest.
Yeah, two things happened. One, I was like, wow, yeah, this is gonna be mega. And the other thought was, oh my gosh, I gotta learn 77 pages of dialogue, which was a bit scary. Yeah. So I'm currently rehearsing for a one-woman show now as well. It seems to be like one woman land at the moment. And that's again just being just faced with a tome of a script, and you're like, cool, got a month and a half to learn that one. Sure.
Yeah, when's that one woman show happening, if you don't mind me asking, or is the
Uh,
details kept under wraps?
I I actually don't know. I feel like let me come back to you on that one, but I will happily tell you it's going to be touring the UK at various. I know all the venues. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say or not. I don't see why not. I'll have to ask the director in a minute. Pause the interview, bear with. Sorry. But yeah, it'll be touring around the UK, and then we've got a little run in London um in October. So yeah, we start in April, so soon. Um, but yeah, same situation. Just you have to kind of manage that overwhelm because it is just you just look at words and words and words. There's just so many. So I'm a real type A personality. I like organized spreadsheet
Mm.
situations. So I'll sit and I'll count how many pages there are or how many scenes or whatever, and I will figure out from I don't know day one of filming and maybe like a week before how many I'd have to learn per week or per day. And then I stick to that schedule because I know mathematically I will know it by whatever time I need to know it by. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Like I have to learn this many pages per week to stay on track, to then know I'm off book for rehearsals. So that's exactly what I did for On the Line.
Mm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, sounds pretty intense, to
it
say the
was
least.
quite scary, but it was great. It was a good
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah, I could definitely imagine so. And I could presume like your theatrical background, I think, must have complemented you quite harm in a very harmonious way for this. I presume le lessons learned in the past, perhaps.
Yeah, Ollie, I remember on the casting for it that Ollie specifically said, I'd like someone who's used to learning like monologues or has a theatrical background because it will essentially be, I think some reviews have said as well, it's almost like a radio play. Um, so yeah, he basically said that was something he was really interested in. So, and he wasn't wrong. I think that was a really good thing to put in the casting. Because if you look at some people, I mean, if you're working on a soap, for example, that's a completely different skill set. You know, you get given the script the day before and you're learning it that night and then you're filming it the next day. And that's a completely different part of memory. Like that would be terrifying because that's something I haven't done before. So I think just being aware of the type of amount of stuff we had to know in the casting in the first place was a good shout on Ollie's part.
Mm, absolutely. And how easy, because I've got Oliver's perspective on the 10-minute dolly shot. So I'm
Have
curious
you
to know.
now?
Yeah. He said that time was not on the side, I think. How was it from your perspective, that shot?
Um, Cold. So first and foremost, we're in a shed in November with the door open, so it's freezing. Yeah, so it was scary because yeah, 10-minute dolly shot. It's again, it's there's so many things that could go wrong, and if it goes wrong, you have to start again. So we only had 5 days to shoot the entire movie, which is just
It's
ridiculous
mad,
when you think
but
about
oh, it's mad when you see the end result. I think you wouldn't know. Like,
it's but also it was good from an acting point of view because you can't be precious. It's like,
yeah,
cool, got that
absolutely.
next. Like it just has to be instinctual. So that was cool. And I do think Usually your first or couple of takes are usually your best anyway, because you're not over rehearsing it and you're just sort of going with it. But when you've got 5 days to fit a whole movie, it was really scary. So yeah, the dolly shot was scary, but I felt like once we'd done that shot, and I think is it about halfway through in the movie? I can't quite remember, but it was like we could all breathe then, because we knew we'd done the hardest. We'd done our Everest, we'd climbed that mountain, we'd done it. And I don't know how many takes we did. I can't remember. It wasn't that many, like under 10, maybe like 5, I don't know. But you'd be there going, right, okay, we've got to do this. It's 10 pages long. Okay, it started moving. And you don't realize it's moving to start with, right? And so there'd be one where they go, oh, sorry, went over a bump. You're like, damn, okay. And then you'd have one where sound would say, oh, there was a helicopter, guys. And you're like, oh, okay. And there are so many other things that go wrong. And then you're like, if I mess up a line at minute 9, gonna be so annoyed. And the other funny thing was, in my ear, I don't have the sound effects of the police car or anything going on. I've got my
right.
Sally going in my ear. And they were saying, okay, and the timing of that is like this, and going beeping and making noises, and like, sure, cool, and trying not to laugh at that. Maybe it was like take 4 or something that we'd got it, something like that. Yeah. So once we got over a few little teething bits, be it sound or like again camera operation, trying to get it to stay smooth the entire time, and it was actually fine. It was just scary.
Yeah, I could. What was the dynamic like having people in your ears as opposed to having them to play off directly in person? Did that change anything for you in particular in terms of your overall approach?
Um, I do really thank Ollie for that, having actual actors in my ear. So what was lovely is there was that camaraderie there. Like, you've got the whole crew there, you've got everybody else who's playing all the other characters. So you didn't feel on your own, which was really nice. It's a group thing. So they were in a shed just outside. And what was great is with sound, which was amazing, was that they were recording their lines at the same time, which was great. And it was so much more authentic. Ollie could have had someone and saved a lot of money by having someone just read it into my ear. And that would have been fine, but it really helped to have like genuine conversations and acted conversations in my ear. So yeah, it felt quite natural. It felt like how you would talk to someone on a phone call as normal, really. It was weird that me and that switchboard became best friends. We spent a lot of time staring at it. And the technical side of it, I'd never been by this switchboard till day 1 of filming, so I'd very quickly had to figure out how you use it. Yeah, so after a while it just kind of became choreography, and yeah, you did genuinely feel like you were in these people's lives and you had great actors just chatting to you. So it was, again, it didn't feel strange. And it really helped with the isolation, because that whole idea, when she does step away from that one thing she's got to communicate with people, you really do feel how alone she is, and any of the bits where she's not chatting. So I think it all helped, really.
Mm. Absolutely. I'm very curious because the last point you mentioned about how alone Agnes is, I'm curious, did you and Oliver create almost a hypothetical backstory as to what Agnes's life was like outside the switchboard room as well, or was it mainly just what was on the page?
You know what? I feel like an awful actor, because people ask about backstory and I just like, oh, didn't really think about that. I just did the lines. Well, obviously, I mean, again, I also don't want to give too much away, but she's engaged and has a life and has friendships, strained friendships as well, with various people. So she does have a life, but I do feel like she takes an inordinate amount of pride in her work. And I do think she spends a lot of her time in that room. I do think that's a massive part of her world. And I think that's why she gets so involved, because I think that's her place where she genuinely does have the community at her fingertips. She knows exactly what's going on. She knows everybody's business because she's always there. So I do think that weirdly that's her space. And she wants to be independent and she wants to keep working, and raises lots of questions about in the 1960s about women still wanting to work and have a family and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm not necessarily backstory, because I was, I mean, to be honest, I was so busy learning the lines, but I do think she, and again, I can't spoil anything, but she has her demons. She has her guilt and her difficulties, and that's why she's so obsessed with this case. So yeah, I think the backstory is sort of there for you in the script. And yeah, we did a lot of focus on, you know, why she's still there and why she cares so much. And you know, she's voted best voice and all that kind of thing. Like that's her world, and she's very passionate about it. So yeah, I think focus more on that than a huge backstory, which is, probably should admit that. Oh well.
Well, actually, it's always intriguing to learn more about the process, to be fair, because I'm very curious now, because obviously with so much intense script reading on the line, when you got to actual production, did you learn something about the character yourself that you didn't necessarily know from the script?
Hmm. I mean, potentially. I mean, what struck me with Agnes is that she's quite flawed as we all are, as a human being. And I really liked the way she was written, because she's sort of, she doesn't take no for an answer this entire film. It's like, no, this is what I'm doing. She's very blinkered. She's very ambitious as a person. And I did know that going in, but I think we did shoot it almost chronologically, which was again, Ollie was like, why would you not? Because the story does that. It's supposed to, it's almost like a play in that sense as well. We don't have flashbacks, we don't have anything like that. It just plays out in real time. So that was really, really helpful in that development. So you did sort of sit with her, and yeah, I think it just solidified for me that yeah, she's not necessarily that likable. She's complicated, and just being in that world, and again, for such an intense period of time, it was only 5 days. So again, you don't have the luxury of just like sort of sitting with it and mulling it over. It was all just so instinctive. But yeah, when I watch it back now, yeah, I didn't she's so much deeper than I realized at the time. And she's got so much more going on. There are so many layers to her. So yeah, I knew her to a certain extent, but yeah, when I watched it back, I was, oh, okay. Yeah, and also because it's, you know, because it's been in post for like a year or so, you forget what you did. So yeah, it was quite a nice surprise to meet her again from that point of view. That
Absolutely,
didn't really
it's
answer your
definitely.
question. Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm trying to ask stuff you may not have been asked already. That's why. But no,
Maybe
it
I'm
definitely.
awful at answering them.
No, no. I think it's really, I think it's just fascinating to learn more. I think from your perspective on how things went on the shoot more than anything. I wanted to touch upon your collaboration with Oliver, because I think I'm curious to know what was the most enjoyable aspect just about working with him in general, firstly.
I think what was interesting with working with Ollie is that he was hugely ambitious. Um, of course, for your first ever thing you do as a director is going to be a massive feature film that you've written as well, and you're producing as well, and that you're shooting in 5 days. Of course it is, which is wild, but he's pulled it off. He's done an amazing job. So yeah, I mean, again, like I say, it couldn't be that indulgent within our term in our relationship, because we just don't have the time. So he just sort of like let me do my thing, really, which was really nice. Like a little bit of technical direction here and there, but he was also I didn't see him very much because he was like hidden in the back of this room somewhere. So picture this: there's like me and the switchboard here, and a row of machinery, and then another row, and then that's kind of all that there is in that room. And you've got DOP, gaffer, sound guys outside, hair and makeup's outside. Our exec producer was in there for a little bit. We've got AD, focus puller. Like there's probably about 8 people in there, but Ollie is like in the back by the monitor somewhere. And so every now and then I just like hear this voice and my back's to him. So he was also operating a switchboard at the same time. So with all the lights and whatnot. So yeah, weirdly, we didn't get like the luxury of rehearsals together, or we did a few, like we did like a read through or so on Zoom a couple of times. But yeah, he kind of just let me do my thing, which is really freeing as an actor. He just let me do it, and in most cases he was like, yeah, great, do it again. So it was very, again, because it was such a fast turnaround, it was a couple of takes and then we're on to the next thing, you know. So yeah, he just kind of let me do what I want, which was really nice. But yeah, I am amazed that he's done that. I think a lot of people start with like a short.
Yeah, I did ask him about this. I said it's rather ambitious.
I was like, cool. Yeah, and he was very open. Like there was a massive script change that was going to happen, and I was like really staunchly against it. And I said, and again, I don't do, not that there was going to be conflict, but I don't do like, I'm a chronic people pleaser, and I'm really working on that. So back then as well, whenever I first read the script, it was, I don't know, 2021. So I was like, I really don't want that to happen. I really like the script how it is, please. And I've kind of already learned it. So like he really took that on board and understood. And yeah, so again, I wish I kind of we could have spent more time together, because it was so short. And he was incredibly good from a production point of view of getting really, really good people, because they were just passionate about it. We were all there because we read the script and we looked at the concept and we went, yeah, that's a bit of us. That's a challenge that I want, or that's a passion project that I just need to do. So like he had really amazing people around him who were experts in their field. And that was great to watch too, that he had this team around him, because again, you're on set and you have this thought of, I think this is actually really quite special what we're making here, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm proud of everybody. And he did that, you know. He was very good at selecting people that merged really well together, just got the job done. And so yeah, only now we're thinking about all these things and these questions, because at the time it was just a whirlwind. It's
Yeah,
really
I can
early start,
imagine.
having a load of hairspray in my head, get like some beehive going on. It was like 5 a.m. or whatever, and you're in Avon somewhere, like in some hotel somewhere, and yeah, you roll into set, you're doing your thing. We all a couple of nights we all went to the pub together and got the chance to just like have a drink and have a chat and get to know each other a little bit. But yeah, I just almost wish it had lasted a month, or you know, how long it would take to normally shoot a feature film, so that we could, for the luxury of just getting to know people better. But yeah, I think what he's done is amazing, and it'll be really interesting to see what he does next, because if this is his first ever go at it, I mean, where's he going to be in 5-10
Yeah,
years time? And I just hope he remembers me. Please take me with you, Ollie.
yeah, yeah.
It was
Message to
charming.
Oliver if he's watching.
Yeah, Ollie, can you hire me and everything, please? Yeah, so it was good. And yeah, I just think it's incredible what he's achieved.
It's absolutely amazing to hear. I think just like I can very much relate from my perspective, having made stuff in the past where you're so much in the moment of just thinking we've got to get this done, we've got to get this done, and then when you sit back, like I can reminisce now thinking about some of the things I've shot before, where you think what an amazing experience. So I think it definitely relates, I think, to any kind of filmmaking project. I think
Yeah,
I think it's
it's really hard to, I feel like I'm not answering any of your questions correctly, and I'm ready for like the hate I'm gonna get for going, you didn't answer that. but it's really hard when you're in it, like you've just said, to think about how you felt, especially when a long period of time has passed between its release and when you did it, because it was just, I do remember it being quite exciting because it was post-COVID as well. Because obviously 2020, I mean, we all know we all like lost, we essentially, everybody lost about 2 years of their lives, and it felt so exciting. I think that was the first project I did post-COVID. And we shot it just before, and then I went off to Panto immediately after. So that was very different. And yeah, and so it was just so exciting to be back and being creative and being in that environment again, because it had been 2 years of not being allowed to do that, and experiencing it firsthand. You know, I was in the Mousetrap when all the theatres shut and London was a ghost town, and it was so weird. And I still can't believe that kind of happened. I feel like we're all in Endgame and there was like a blip that we all just experienced and now we can't remember it. But yeah, so it was, I remember there being this immense excitement on my part to be getting to sort of scratch that creative itch again with a load of really talented people that all knew what they were doing. They were doing their jobs to the best of their ability, and we just sort of got it done. We just sort of did it. And then you go, oh, right, this thing that we did happened, and now people are talking about it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is truly, mate. I'm very curious to know now what has been like the most surprising feedback you've got, either can be on your performance or on the film that you've heard so far from the festival circuit.
I mean, I just, in all honesty, when you do an indie feature, like, we're all doing it for no money, pretty much. We're all doing it for the love of whatever it is that we've got. And I do think special projects come your way and you just go, yeah. A dear friend of mine told me the criteria you need to do creative work, and I've always remembered this, but he says you either do a job for the people, for the part, or for the money. And you need two of those things to do it. And very rarely do you get all three. And I think that's such a wonderful thing. And what's really special is when it's like the people are awesome and that role is so juicy, you're not going to say no to it. So you're just there because you want to be there. And I think it's, you can't quantify that when that happens. And so yeah, you do it, and I've done lots of indie film already, and I've done lots of shorts, music videos, whatever, all these things, and they've all been joyous, but you don't know which one people are going to resonate with, because in indie filmmaking you're just doing it because you want to, and you hope that people watch it, but there's no guarantee. It's not some big studio thing that is guaranteed to go straight onto streaming services or get a theatrical release and everyone's going to watch it and talk about it, or it's got a load of famous people in it. So the fact that people are even talking about it blows my mind, because and high profile people and festivals and just any of it, and I didn't doubt for a second it wouldn't have people talking about it, but you just don't know. It's such an oversaturated and complicated, fickle world that tiny projects like this one sometimes often get overlooked. So the fact that it hasn't, and festivals are noticing, and all my mates and friends and family are watching it on Amazon and stuff and going, hey, there she is, there's her face, like it's just really lovely, because it deserves to do well, because everyone was there, because we just needed to be, and we wanted to tell that story. So yeah, I think The Guardian was quite a surprise. I thought like, oh, cool, I've had a review in The Guardian where they say I'm like not crap. So that was quite exciting. I don't really know what's going on. Every now and then Ollie will send me like a review and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like, I'm not sat there Googling my own name. But yeah, every now and then it's just lovely. Or like I say, a friend said, I watched On the Line last night and I loved it, Vic. Or someone that's known you for a really long time. I just think it's really lovely.
Yeah, I definitely now need to pass on the film to more people on the cohort. I think I'm in a group chat with about like 100 people, so like I could spread the word to the MAs about it.
Yes, please. I think just like any support for an indie film
100%.
especially in a, we've just got so much content, haven't we? I was having this
Yeah.
chat the other day. I'm like at the moment, I'm really aware of how mentally exhausted I am just from like people are getting decision fatigue, and I can understand why, because we're just bombarded with so much content constantly. Like trying to choose a film to watch now on all these streaming services. I just spend like an hour just clicking through and like adding to lists and never actually watching anything. So again, the fact that anything indie like our little movie getting any traction, getting any recognition, having anyone watching it when there's so much now, so much competition, that even like massive stuff with big budgets doesn't get watched, um, is amazing. So yeah, spread the word, please. Everyone
I
come on.
will, yeah. Probably the best compliment I can say on the back of that is that I genuinely think On the Line is better than some big budget stuff I've seen this year so far. Genuinely.
That's
I
so
won't say what films they were, but
also there's another movie already called On the Line with Mel Gibson in
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've not seen that.
No, I haven't either. But I'm like, just scroll down a bit. We're on there.
Yeah, just
And
scroll down. Yeah.
he pops up first. But yeah, that's really kind of you. Thank you.
No, it's genuinely my pleasure. And I think it's just been so fascinating now, like knowing more about the behind the scenes of everything. I'm just curious because I want to ask one more thing that I discovered last night. Your singing channel on YouTube, because no, honestly, because I saw it on your Instagram and I was like, oh, I see how good some of these songs were. I genuinely thought they were incredible. So I'm just curious to learn, like, when did the singing ability kick in for you? When did you start developing that talent?
Thank you. Weirdly, before I wanted to be an actor, I did want to be a singer. So I started singing lessons when I was 14. And initially, I was so scared that I wouldn't sing in front of her. And she went, that's not really how our lessons are going to work. So she really helped me with my confidence there. And I wanted to do musical theatre. I wanted to do more classical stuff. So I wanted to do like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, My Fair Lady, anything with Julie Andrews in. I just basically wanted to be her. My ultimate dream was Christine Daae and Phantom of the Opera. And then I realized that's a really, really big sing. I'm okay. So that was what I wanted to do. And that was definitely the case for a really long time. And then when I did A-level drama at school, I hadn't done GCSE drama. I actually hated drama at school. I hated it. I found it really embarrassing. So it's hilarious that I'm an actor now. But yeah, they let me do A-level because I did extracurricular drama stuff. And I remember the first time I had to do a monologue in class and I just cried because I said, what if I get it wrong? I'm not singing. I rely on my singing to sort of like boost my acting because I'm not as confident as an actor. And my teacher just went, there isn't a wrong, Vic. This is like, it's your interpretation. It's okay. And then from that moment on, I realized I really enjoyed acting as well. And over time, they just sort of like acting, especially when I went on film and stuff, that just sort of took precedent over the singing. But yeah, I have that singing channel came from lockdown, and my partner plays guitar and sings, and that's his job. So he also records music. He can record music from home to a good standard. So I would record them, he'd mix and master them, and then I'd make the little videos. And it all started because obviously we were all creatively stifled. So it was VE day, and I thought, oh, I've always had this like joy of singing vintage songs. So I sang We'll Meet Again. And because I'm a vintage model, I have tons of outfits in my house. So I dressed up in 1940s gear and sang it. And I just posted it on Facebook for my mum and a few people from the village I grew up in. And then the next week they all went, can we have another one, Vic? That really cheered us up that week. And I went, okay. And so then I did another one. And in the end, I did about like 14 or something during lockdown. And it was so lovely because I had something per week to practice and film. And it made me put some makeup on for a day and like make an effort. And it was really lovely. And the only reason they're on YouTube is because I ran out of memory on my phone and I needed to
Mm.
store them somewhere. So I just stored them on this channel, thinking, oh, well, no one's going to look there. So I'll just leave them. And then one of them, I think it's Strangers in the Night, has got like 40,000 views or something absolutely wild. And all these people from other countries saying, "Oh my gosh, I love it! Like, hello from Romania. How have you found me? How how did what?" So that was really gorgeous. And then since then, I've been gigging a lot. Like I gig now when when I'm not acting or whatever, I gig in various like cocktail bars and do more modern stuff there, like a mix of genres, lots of chilled out or funk kind of stuff. And then I do a little vintage duo with my friend Becky, who tap dances. So we go around to little vintage events and sing 1920s to 1960s-esque, either on my own or I bring my friend Becky, who tap dances as well. So that was like a nice project that we've done since sort of last year. And yeah, just gigging around, and I'm gigging on the weekend this weekend. And so it's just a really nice thing. And as I say, I've sung in panto for 8 years. I've done 8 pantos now. Princess always has to sing and dance. And I worked at Alton Towers as a singer for 3 years. So yeah, singing's always been a huge part of my life. I'd love to do a musical film. I'd love to do, like when they do Into the Woods or Les Mis, or absolutely, that would be amazing. So yeah, singing's always been very, very important, and I love it. But yeah, it's a nice surprise for people. I'm not the best dancer, hate to break it to you, but can't win them
Well,
all.
well, 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 I'd say to people, "I Dream the Dream" was probably one of your best of songs. I thought that was astonishing, to be honest. Genuinely had so much heartfelt emotion. I reminded me when I first saw it, which is
Thank you. Les Mis, if I'm honest, if I was going to do a musical, please, universe, it would be Les Mis. My dream role is Fantine in Les Mis. Because what a track. You come on, spoilers, everyone, sorry. You come on, you sing I Dreamed a Dream, you die, you have a lovely break, you go in the ensemble for a while, hidden, and then you come on at the end and say, "Remember me? I had a really great song." Bow, leave. What a lovely track that is. I would absolutely love to do that part. She gets a killer song, killer story arc, has a nice chunk of time where you don't have to panic so much, and then gets to come back at the end. Yeah, I remember seeing that for the first time when I was about 16, and it blew my socks off. It
yeah,
just
definitely. It's definitely needs to rewatch the film. I think the music in it is some of the best in any musical going, I think.
Yeah, and I think if I hear the da 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 da, oh my, yeah, I probably know it off by heart. I used to watch it over and over, and when I was 18, we did it at school. I did
Oh,
have an audition for
nice.
Les Mis, actually, like the London audition when I was 20. And they were really kind to me. They wanted me, but again, I was too, like, they sent me off to a singing teacher and said, "We're just worried about your stamina because you haven't had conventional training. So can you go to this singing teacher? She'll help you out in London." And I was with her for many years, and I just thought it was such a lovely thing for them to do. And then they said, you just need to wait a few years because you're really young. Yeah, and then I never returned. So maybe I need to
Mm.
stop string and say, "Hi, 9 years ago.
Yeah,
Can I come and be Fontaine, please?" But yeah, that would be yeah, the dream would be to tour Les Mis around the country, play Fontaine. I mean, maybe that's in the future one day, who knows? But time's
absolutely.
ticking. I'm getting on. I'm gonna be too old to play her eventually, so I need to get on it.
That's a point to the Les Mis casting directors if they come across this.
Les Mis casting directors.
I've just got one last little icebreaker, little fun question to go out on. But if we were living in a hypothetical world, let's say On the Line 2 gets commissioned tomorrow, what would be the ideal setting you'd want to do that performance again in?
Oh, On the Line too.
Yeah, hypothetical.
As in, where do I think the story would go, or
Where would you think you could, or what setting would you fancy performing in next, essentially? Leading a one-woman show.
hmm. You know what? I would actually quite like to start seeing some of these other characters. So I think actually On the Line 2 should be the world expands, right? So you see her life um with more of these characters. You see her relationship with Betty and with Frank and with all these people. I quite like the idea of her becoming actually detective. I quite like the idea of them going, "You helped us solve this. do you want to come join? Because then I can basically, purely selfishly, I can then play a detective, which is also another dream. I really want to play a detective. Yeah. So like basically turn on the line into Line of Duty a bit and then
On the line of duty, yes.
on the Line of Duty, come on. It's there, it's ready. You're
Yeah.
welcome, universe. Yeah, so I think I'd like to expand that universe. And I think I'd like to see Agnes in her home life, navigating the pressures of wanting to have a family, navigating her friendships and her strained friendships with Betty and other characters. What happens with her and the people she helps along the way throughout On the Line 1, you know, so just, yeah, I'd like to see an expansion of that. So I think actually I'd quite like some company for On the Line 2. I think
Yeah.
people would want
I can imagine it would be
to know what these people look like. Huh?
I can imagine it would be quite just good to see everyone in person, I think, more than anything. Get to see what everyone else's
Yeah.
characters truly are like.
And it's like when you're reading a book, right? You have your vision of what they look like, but actually you don't like. And when you see a film adaptation, people go, "Oh no, that's not who so and so looked like," or "That's not how I imagined them to behave." And so it's kind of similar because you've not seen any of these other people, so that'd be quite cool. I don't know what she would be doing next. Like I say, she'd need another mystery to solve, and I don't know how many mysteries there are on a little island. But I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more for her to do.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more. But that's the end of the. Oh, thank you very much for this. This has been genuinely just an absolute treat, just to hear more insight and learn more about yourself. It's been absolutely incredible.
Thank you. I always find, if I'm completely honest, I always find interviews absolutely terrifying because talking about yourself is mildly icky. But thanks for making it such a comfortable and chatty experience. And I hope people found it interesting, not too waffly.
Yeah, I got that on record, so that's thank you
Like
very
I say,
much.
you can always edit me down. Like I won't be offended.
I've done longer podcasts before, so this is nothing. No, this nah, really insightful. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
Alderney switchboard. Number, please. Connecting you. Hold the line, please. Number, please.
I really need help. It wasn't a prank caller?
Perhaps. Number, please. What's going on? What's your name?
He's coming back!
I'm going to ask you yes or no questions. Is he with you? Are you in danger?
Police Department, this is Sergeant Welch speaking.
That's what they are. I'm in the best place to track her.
No, let the police do their job here. Help!
Yes, I'm here. Hit him square across the head. As hard as you can.
So, for those of you who've decided to stay for after the interview, Victoria's got some very exciting news to announce on a Matt the Critic Show exclusive. So, take it away.
Do thank you. So I mentioned earlier, if it's still in the edit, that I'm doing a one-woman show because that seems to be the theme at the moment. I promise I'm nice to work with. I'm not just like doing them to be on my own. But yeah, it's called What's Next, and it's with a company called Middleweight Theatre. It should be announced. I don't know when this interview is coming out, but we're announcing it early March. So yeah, exclusive. And it's about Harriet Quimby, who's the first US female pilot in 1912. So I'll be playing her, and it is touring the country from April to October. And we're going to the Alma Tavern Theatre in Bristol, the Old Joint Stock in Birmingham, the Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester. Where else are we going? Lots of other lovely places, Cheltenham Everyman, Oxford Playhouse. And then our big run will be in October, early-ish to mid-October, at the Hen and Chickens Theatre in Highbury and Islington in London. So if you're in London, please get there. And then we're finishing in Exeter, where we're all originally from, Devonland. So we'll be finishing that in October. So yeah, I mean, it's super exciting, super terrifying because it's learning loads of lines again. And this time I can't do another take if I go wrong. So yeah, that's that. It's really exciting, and there'll be loads and loads on the Instagram and on the socials and stuff on mine, and on Middleweight Theatres. So yeah, please come watch if you want to. Matthew's coming.
Yeah, coming to I don't know if it's gonna be Birmingham or Manchester, but it's definitely gonna be one of the two. I mean, I've always got a bed at home with my mum and dad, so they might be coming back for the night.
Amazing, either option. But yeah, there we go. There's my little
100%. Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to it really much so. So, thanks again for this. This is first Matt the Critic exclusive. So that's what
I had to read
got.
the director and everything just to check.
Yeah, the lengths I go to for this.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.